Creature Commandos keeps giving us depressing backstories, this time with Dr. Phosphorus, but it also gave us the first look at a loved DC character. We're going to be talking about spoilers, so it's going to be a spoiler warning. So of course, just like all the other Creature Commandos, where in his backstory, he had a family, he was trying to cure cancer and get rid of it, and instead, his entire family was murdered by the mob. A mob that he was working with all in order to fund his project, who was also sending the research to Bialia, which is also a place Captain Atom was stationed. So they set up more of the DCU, but also just showed us how Dr. Phosphorus gained his powers, but because they threw him into the machine as a way to get rid of him, but they didn't expect to turn him into a monster, then ended up taking them all out afterwards. Because he just went on a murder spree, taking out everyone that was connected to the people that unalived his family. And we also got some interesting references during this, because we got the Iceberg Lounge, one of the locations owned by the Penguin, and then we also got the Batman showing up, the first alive Batman we've seen in the DCU so far. Of course, they didn't show us the suit because they're still making it and planning what's going to come, but he does look like a more kind of buffed up Batman who's ready to take down bad guys. And it was interesting to see this because I assumed they weren't going to do Batman because they were going to save him for a later date. But it was awesome to kind of just get that silhouette showing up and connecting the DCU as a whole. Like, right, you have Dr. Phosphorus, who is a Batman villain, show up. It's great to see them connected to Batman, all in order to kind of set up, eventually, we will see Batman in the DCU. And it's cool as well that Dr. Phosphorus and Rupert Thorne are connected in the comics as well, where Rupert Thorne is responsible for the accident that happens and turns him into Dr. Phosphorus. Now, the only difference here is that he didn't actually throw him into the machine like he did in the show, but instead, a funding shortfall, the nuclear reactor that they were creating blow up, which turned Alex into Dr. Phosphorus. So it is cool to see how they keep those ties, but then still slightly changing it, all in order to fit the show. But I do like how the show's making us feel for these monsters, giving them a heart, making them feel human, because it also makes me feel like by the end of the season, we're going to get a moment where they do act more human, where they act like good people because they do have hearts and they kind of realize who they are. So we'll definitely see what happens in the final episode, and I'm very curious to see what they do with this show, especially because it's getting a season 2. But let me know, what did you think of Dr. Phosphorus's backstory?